I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight, the forum for Winfield Board of Trustees, and it is my honor to work with the League of Women Voters tonight. Missy Wilhelm and Barb Lyman are the two that I've been working with, and I appreciate their partnership in providing this opportunity. I know that businesses don't actually cast a vote, but businesses are important to each community to help provide necessary services, products, and certainly to contribute to the tax base. The Western DuPage Chamber of Commerce is a nonpartisan organization. We do not endorse candidates, but we do believe strongly that the citizens should have opportunities to be able to get to meet their candidates and make an informed decision. With that, I'll turn it over to Missy Wilhelm. Thank you.
I am Missy Wilhelm. I'm the president of the Wheaton League, and I'll also be your moderator this evening. I think we're going to start. I want to thank everybody for coming, and if you'll all rise, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. We happen to find a flag. Please join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everybody, please be seated. The League of Voters is a nonpartisan organization that does not support, oppose, or recommend candidates for any office. The League is not affiliated with any public political party. Candidate forums such as the one co-sponsored by the League and League of Women Voters in Wheaton and Western DuPage Chamber of Commerce provide a nonpartisan venue to give the general public an opportunity to participate in the electoral process by asking questions directly of the candidates about issues that concern them. This is a terrific opportunity for what I call civic discourse. Let's keep that in mind tonight. And I encourage you to ask questions of the candidates. We'll explain how that happens when we get to the rules. All candidates listed by the Election Commission for the Winfield Village Trustee race were invited to participate tonight. Candidates make choices about participating in forums or not. We thank these candidates that are here this evening for joining us. It is my pleasure to moderate this evening. I haven't done it in a little bit of a while because I'm usually presiding over it as the voter service chairman or something else. So please forgive me if I make any small mistakes, and if you notice anything, I've already asked the candidates, particularly if I get them out of order, to let me know. Now I'm going to review how the forum will proceed. We refer to these as rules. First thing we're going to ask is for everybody to turn off their cell phones, pagers, and all their electronic devices. We don't allow you to take videos or any audio tapes of this event. We are filming it, and we'll talk about that in a second. We'll ask you to print your cards print your questions clearly on 3x5 index cards. Hand them to the volunteers that are here. Are any of the kids here? There you are. Wait, turn around. There they are. And these are students from West Chicago Community High School from District 94, so please be nice to them. Questions are reviewed and selected for appropriateness. Your questions should address issues, not personalities or particular candidates or incumbents. If you ask incumbent-oriented questions, I'll reword it so that all of the candidates can ask it. If it's not possible to reword it, I'll set it aside. Questions are reviewed and selected for appropriateness and to avoid duplication by members of the League. Tom Wilhelm and Diane Niesman will be our question sorters this evening. And then I will read them to the candidates. If you have not already done so, you may begin writing your questions and submitting them whenever. The Wheaton League claims copyright ownership of any tapes or transcripts produced from this event. No other recording may be made of this event other than the one that's authorized by the League and the Chamber of Commerce. No voice, image, or other duplication of the foreman may be used by candidates, representatives, or used in any campaigns or in any campaign advertising. The candidates drew lots to determine the order in which they will be giving opening statements. Candidates are allowed 2 minutes to make an opening statement, 1 minute to answer each question, and 1 minute to make their closing statement. They're not allowed to use visual aids, but they probably came with notes to help them keep their memory fresh. Can you hold up the paddles? These are our timers, Shannon Burns and Nancy Weiland. They'll start with 1 or 2 minutes, but we'll be told when there's a minute. when there's 30 seconds, when there's 15 seconds, and then stop. Please don't stop until it says stop. A lot of candidates start to get nervous after about 30 seconds or 15 seconds, and they'll quit before they really need to. If you have a sentence, I'll let you finish it, but then I'll ask you to stop, so please don't try to go on. They will at the end be allowed 1 minute to make a closing statement. During the question and answer section, the candidates will alternate the order of speaking. The candidate who makes the first opening statement will be second answering the first question. This rotation will continue throughout the question and through the closing statements. When time runs out, we will move on to the next candidate in question. Please hold your applause until the forum is over. It saves time and it makes it easier for the videographer. The candidates who joined us this evening are Jay Olson, Rob Hanlon, Tony Reyes, James Huge, Carl Sorgatz, okay, and Robert Bersodi. Oh, that's right. All right. Tonight we're going to begin our opening statements with Mr. Hughes. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Hughes, your current village trustee and candidate for election. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and a very special thank you to the Wheaton League of Women Voters and the Western DuPage Chamber for making this happen. Tonight, as we listen to all the comments, we'll more than likely see many of those candidates will have said much of all the same related content about our village. I'd like to share a few things that I feel that I bring to the table while representing you as your village trustee and candidate that my fellow candidates aren't able to say or do. And as noted by the Daily Herald endorsement today, I'm your independent voice for Winfield. I have proven stability over the last 4 years, working with both the past and current administrations while serving you, our residents. While serving you, I put my big boy pants on a number of times during some tough village board meetings over the last 4 years to achieve moving forward all of our key issues that you elected me for in 2011. In 2011, I earned the Daily Herald endorsement, and you, the residents of our village, elected me as your village trustee. Now in 2015, I've earned the Daily Herald endorsement again, and I have every intention to achieve all of our key issues while working hard for you. There's some big issues to handle that we need village trustees that are independent and strong, yet bring with them the ability to work together for our residents, for our village. We have road repairs and ongoing maintenance, development discussions for Roosevelt Road in St. Charles, a relationship to build with Northwestern Medicine that's beneficial for our village, new sustainable revenues which could bring relief to our ever-climbing water and sewer bills. The next 4 years call for experienced trustees that will fund and protect our police department, support the development we need, improving our cash forecasting modules for our village. And I'm Jim Hughes, and I'm asking for your vote on April 7th for village trustee. Thank you.
Mr. Reyes.
My name is Tony Reyes. I've been a Winfield resident for about 50 years. I'm incumbent here tonight in this candidates debate, representing all the folks that elected me 4 years ago, and hopefully winning some more support from those that are unsure. The job of being a village trustee is a difficult job. I need an extra 15 seconds. So I was trying to say, is there a problem with this?
Let's try that.
The job of trustee is a difficult job, and I take it very seriously. It comes with a lot of honor and pride that I take in being a Winfield resident. That I try to tackle difficult issues that come before our board. It's not unlike most villages in that there's a lot of passion in everything that we do. Everything is viewed as important business. We have a lot of folks that are engaged in the process, and we have different opinions. Not necessarily always a very simple process to be engaged in, and oftentimes it can be very, very passionate. And I'm here to help the village grow in a meaningful way, grow our revenues, provide a better service for our community. We want to make sure that we have a way to fund the future. And we always look forward to the obstacles that we need to try and deal with as part of the job that we do. I'm not only a long-time resident, I've been involved with almost every aspect of the village for my entire life here with coaching kids, WIA. I was in JC, which is a Junior Chamber of Commerce. I'm in the Lions. I'm very involved in Knights of Columbus. In Sheridan, I'm a philanthropist, and I love what I do here. I plan to spend the rest of my days in Winfield, so I'm very honored to be here and be a trustee on your behalf, and we'll continue.
Thank you. Mr. Sarkis.
Good evening. My name is Carl Sorgas. I'm your current village treasurer, and I'm honored to be considered for the position of village trustee in Winfield. My wife and I have raised 3 sons in Winfield and are proud 28-year residents. As you know, this is a great place to live and fantastic residents, and so many things to take advantage of right at our doorsteps. For too many years now, Winfield has been plagued by hostile politics and character attacks. Anyone who finally involved is expected to choose sides, but I consider myself to be friends with the most visible individuals on both sides, and I think they share a love for our town and desire to see the serious issues to address. One need only look at our rising police pension costs, resident concerns about climbing water rates, and the general challenges we have paying for basic infrastructure to realize that Winfield must do something more to sustain and protect our village. It's time to invest in the strategies that promote growth of business opportunities and retail development and reduce our dependence on residents for tax revenues. Across the board, we see fiscal challenges related to our elected officials' willingness for several decades to develop Winfield. We have a responsibility to our citizens and taxpayers to do the right thing here. We need to do sensible development that provides sustainable revenues and considers the rights of homeowners. The 2014 comprehensive plan, which was approved by the village board, offers exactly this type of strategy. And we must act on this plan. The time is now. We can't afford to wait. Services such as police protection, road maintenance and repair, and water distribution all need to be provided to our residents in a timely and professional manner. Budgetary constraints cannot compromise those services. The best way to foster a healthy balance sheet in Winfield is to foster healthy economic climate through quality commercial and retail development. I am committed to helping solve this problem and to helping Winfield realize the comprehensive plan. My commitment is also to open transparent government, stability, and professionalism in my service to you, the voters. We can do this together. I am an independent thinker and leader, and I'm asking for your vote on April 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Olson.
Good evening. My name is Jay Olson, and I'm running for the position of trustee of the Village of Winfield. I served in 2009 through 2013 as your trustee, and we moved some very important issues forward regarding the development of Roosevelt Road, and I'm very proud of that. What I'd really like to say is 3 things tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event, along with the Chamber of Commerce, and also to our friends at CDH. CDH gets overlooked way too many times. We haven't been able to develop that relationship through the years very effectively. Secondly, I'd like to say that I would be proud to serve with all 5 of the other candidates up here on this board tonight. And the reason why is because I think that they have the character, the personality, perseverance, courage, and faith in our village, and are fully invested in our village. And I think that's important. I think you're seeing a representative sample of that this evening. Lastly, I'd like to say that there are 2 candidates tonight that didn't show up. And I'm going to make it very clear that I am very, very disappointed in that. Bob Greer and Dennis Hogan. I don't know whether you call it Winfield, Winfield United, Winfield Residents United, whatever it is. I'm very tired of it. What I'd like to say is that I think the character and personality of the 6 candidates that you have in front of us tonight are the people that should earn your vote this evening. It shouldn't be anybody that uses a campaign strategy not to allow the residents input in the process to see how you're going to display yourself, your character, your civility, your respect in front of the residents of Winfield. So I really encourage you to vote for 6 candidates that are earning your vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. You can remind me, or I would like to remind you that I'm number 8. I'm the last guy on the ballot. Last one to turn it in, that because I want to make sure that my name will be out there. 2 years later, I ended up marrying her. Been involved with this town pretty much since 1978, a little bit more involved. Bought my first house here in 1980. Been in the current house I'm in now since 1994. I've been involved in coaching with Winfield in action, with his girls softball team. I've been involved with the stormwater committee here in the village, which was disbanded by the trustees because, well, I guess it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't to be done at that time. I'm an independent candidate. I am running by myself. I am running with nobody else. I'm a lone wolf. That's what I want to call myself. I'm very passionate. I go to board meetings. I've been going to board meetings since 1994. There's one other person who's in the crowd tonight who's a very close friend of mine who has been to more board meetings than I have. Been very involved, very passionate about this town. People who know me and see me on television, they know that when I speak my mind, it's from the heart. I don't have a speech in front of me. What I'm saying is coming from right here. That's how concerned I am about this village to do the right thing for this town. I don't have all the answers. I will not have all the answers tonight for you. But I'm going to give you the best answer that I can. And if I need to get an answer for you, I will do my best to do that for you. Once again, I'm passionate for this village. I want this village to go forward. I've watched many, many, many years of fighting and just total disarray in the board meetings. And I saw what's happening in the crowd. The voice of the people have been taken away by our current board. They don't allow people to talk during certain meetings. And by not doing that, has bothered me. I tried to get that back in. It has not happened. And it's one of the things that I'm looking to do, to get the voice of the people back into this village. We all have a right to say what we have to say. And my name is Bob Russotti, number 8, and I'm looking for your vote. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hanlon.
Good evening. Thanks for coming out tonight. Kind of ugly weather, so I appreciate everybody coming out. Nice to see our village manager and village staff here. That's really encouraging. I love that. Thank you. Thank you to our hosts tonight as well. And lastly, thank you to the candidates who are participating. Like Jay, there's been a troubling trend in our village of candidates not appearing at this forum. And I simply think that's unacceptable. I believe that people need to treat this forum with respect, treat the residents with respect, and come and debate and have an open conversation. I hope residents will know about that and decide at the ballot box that this trend will end on this voting cycle. My name is Rob Hanlon. I stand for more business and less tax in Winfield. More business means we can pay for infrastructure. More business means we can pay for police. More business means potentially lower water rates in the future. More business means for our residents lower tax in the future. Everyone at this table supports development. We're all friends. We all get along. As Jay said, we all serve together. The question for voters is how do you discern the difference between a really good guy who wants to do development and a proven business person who knows how to work with developers who are putting millions of dollars at risk, who know how to attract business people, proven success record in business. Some people might vote for civility. Some people might vote for financial acumen. I prefer, and I will vote for proven business experience, working with developers, proven business success, those that want to move Winfield forward and bring business to this town. Again, my name is Rob Hanlon, and I really hope to earn your vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the questions, we will start with Tony Reyes. The first question is, how do you plan to work with trustees with a different view on issues that impact the community and reduce the acrimony on the board?
Working together is all the way down here.
Yeah, thank you.
Turn the mic on.
Turn your mic on.
We called for it.
Sorry.
We called to get you some help for that mic, but it's not here yet.
Pass it. Turn it on.
Yeah, turn
Great. Working together as a board is essential to the success of any. Hello. Sorry. All right, working together as a board is essential to the system.
In the zone. All right, Jim's mic.
Try it again. My name is Tony Reyes. Working together as a board is essential to be successful in almost anything that I've been involved in. And the village come to some reasonable agreement on how we can move forward. It's not always possible, however, in this town, the opinions are divided as to whether we should develop or not, and at what pace we should develop. So I have a very open mind about how to proceed together. However, I do think it's essential for our residents that we do get more business and that we do have less tax and that we lower our water bills and sewer rates, because people want to live a good life here and not be challenged with the financial aspects by climbing fees and taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Surratt.
My experience is quite deep in terms of working on board of directors. I've been on the Trade Association board for my credit union for over 20 plus years. I served as chairman of that board, a 6-year process to go through the chairs. Also on the National Trade Association board of directors. In addition to that, I'm currently a member of the police pension board. And being village treasurer, I've had a front row seat to the activities that have occurred at the board over here in Winfield. And to be honest with you, it's been very unfortunate in terms of how some of those meetings have been handled. My goal and objective is, and I've always been able to work with anybody on any side of the issues to find a solution to the problem, but understand that there could be differences of opinion, but really to work together to find that resolution that works for the best interest of all of the constituents of the village of Winfield. Having the discord that we've had and the dysfunctional type of board that we've had has been detrimental to the reputation for Winfield, and also has been detrimental to the development. My goal would be to ensure stability on the board and cooperation.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Yes, I think that it's very important to work as a board and as a team. I have demonstrated that through my previous term. I worked very closely with Village President Barudis. We developed a nice relationship with CDH. I was instrumental in that relationship in bringing the Riverwalk grant to fruition, and then also seeing CDH produce a $300,000 check for roads, which I think most of us have forgotten about in the last 6 years. Second thing, I have worked on the board on the Beecher Street rezoning, again working with Village President Spandy. He was not a big advocate, but he understood the issues related to that zoning, and it went through. Lastly, I collaborated on the board to achieve approval of Silverwood Glen, a very large project in Winfield. We saved $200,000 for the village out of the water fund, and that was a very important step for us to take. We needed to negotiate that at the board meeting, and it was done successfully.
Thank you. Mr. Bersagi?
Would you please reread the question?
How do you plan to work with trustees with a different point of view on issues that impact the community and reduce acrimony on the board?
Working with other trustees in regards to the situations and how personalities handle it. I've over the years seen many different personalities and how there's been a lot of headbutting with various trustees and board members for the village. Trying to work with these people are things to where you have to sit and look at the situation and be able to figure out exactly what the situation is and find out how it is going to work with 6 people, with 6 different ideas to make it happen. Not to where you have 3 or 4 people on one side trying to make this take hold. Society is not the way to do it. Coming together with an idea and being able to put together the idea and not fighting about it is something that really needs to be done. I do it on a daily basis. That is my job. I'm a consultant where I deal with people and their problems. And I bring their problems to a head to where they walk away in a better mood than they were in before. So by doing that, it is a continuation of my daily job in regards to doing that.
Thank you. Mr. Hanlon?
Getting along is about people, right? It's about your neighbor. It's about your neighbor you may not get along with, but you're still neighbors. At the end of the day, it's about empathy. Empathy about putting yourself in their shoes to see their point of view. You may not agree with their point of view, but you can see and understand it. It gives you a totally different perspective during debate. I think debate's good. I think passionate debate is good, because without passion, all you have is mediocrity. So I'm okay with passion. I'm okay with people arguing once in a while. So I'm going to be very careful with the incivility idea, because I think passion is good. Lastly, we saw it when the neighbors were talking about the zoning on Roosevelt Road. Neighbors were for it and against it, but they all said at the end of the day, we may not understand, we may not agree, But at the end of the day, we're still neighbors, and we're still going to get along. So we can have disagreement and still get along. That starts with empathy, putting yourself in their shoes.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
Interesting topic to have gone through. It's an interesting topic to have gone through the last 4 years. It's important not to confuse passion and constructive debate with respect personally for somebody. It takes lots of effort to work with someone that may be the polar opposite of yourself. And I think that's something I've shown over the last 4 years is you got to reach out to your fellow board members if that's happening, whether it's phone calls and lunch and talking with them. You got to break down the personal barriers. And sometimes you have to agree to disagree. If you don't like someone, you can still work with them. That's not the problem. And if you don't learn how to work with them, it'll be like 3 years ago. Not a lot will get done. We'll be stuck with agendas unfinished. So it's important to be able to work with the different administrations, fellow board members. And I include staff when I say administrations in that too. It's important to get along with your staff and establish a relationship.
Thank you very much. The next question will start with Mr. Sorgatz. It's kind of 2 parts. I'm going to combine 2 questions. What is your vision for Winfield in the next 2 years? And what is your number 1 priority as a Winfield trustee as you see it?
Let's start with the number 1 priority. As I mentioned before in my opening comments, that really working towards quality commercial and retail development in Winfield is the key and crux point that we need to make sure that we follow through on. We've developed a comprehensive plan. I served on the steering committee to complete that plan process. We've moved that along through approval and now through the zoning phase, and we're going to be ready to move on that plan come the middle of this year. That development of Winfield and Roosevelt Road is an important key, along with the other development areas, but really Roosevelt is the key development area that we need to be looking at, because that brings the greatest potential for sales tax revenue for the village. And with our current financial position right now, with the threat of the state government capping what the amount is that we get for shared revenues, we really need to look at getting that process moving forward as quickly as possible, but do it in a quality way with respect to the residents who are in those particular areas.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Yes, after hearing candidate Sorgatz say, he stole most of my thunder here, but, I echo that very clearly. Roosevelt Road is a key to putting this community on stable financial ground. It has to be done. What I'm going to focus on is really why I think I am one of the better candidates for doing that. I have over 30 years of professional experience working with developers. I have had and been active in negotiating deals with developers in the local community, so with Glen, in addition to being part of the largest development in Winfield outside of the hospital, Wheaton Christian Grammar School. I think it's important to have that level of experience on the board. I know that you know who I am and what meetings I may have held, but we need a community with leadership that reaches out to the development community. We haven't had that. That's a step that has to happen. So my vision is Roosevelt Road needs to be done. It can be done in the next 2 years. It'll take real, gusto to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bersadi?
My vision for the next 2 years is to not see an eyesore in the village that we had 14 previously in High Lake and Winfield Road. Winfield Fuel Materials turned into a real eyesore in a right downtown area, right where the train stop, where people come through every day and they see that eyesore deteriorating there. It needs to be developed. It needs to have a little higher priority. Roosevelt Road, yeah, that is an important avenue where we need to get involved in. But I think we need to take care of what's going on downtown, because when you bring somebody downtown to show them what you have, they look over there and they see the weeds and how the buildings are falling apart over there. It's not a good point to where we bring development to, in my eyes. We need to start home base and build out from there. So we need to get a little bit more aggressive on the 5 acres with Winfield Fuel. Not that that be a 14-year eyesore like the corner of High Lake was. Then move on from there and continue moving on with the other concerns that we have.
Thank you. Mr. Hamel?
vision for Winfield in the next 2 to 4 years. It's laid out in our comprehensive plan. We spent a lot of time visioning as a community. We got them built on storyboards and workshops, and we spent a lot of time, invested a lot of time. We need to realize that plan. Remember, there's 4 areas in Winfield. There's up north at St. Charles and County Farm, if you can, where the housing development is focused on being. There's actually in the comprehensive plan an idea about getting across County Farm and be able to get all the way to North Avenue. That's a very compelling idea if we can get that done. You have Town Center, obviously, which we have a detailed plan for, and Roosevelt Road. We need to consider all these areas when you're talking about a vision for Winfield. Number 1 priority, how do we make Winfield attractive for developers? It's not about what will you bring us. It's about how do we market ourselves so you're interested and excited to be investing in Winfield, and you'll earn a return for that investment. That's what developers want. So we have to make ourselves attractive. We have to make ourselves an interesting place to develop.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
Thank you. My number 1 vision is implementing our comprehensive plan with fellow board members and staff to redevelop our village the right way. We have the plan, we need to move on. As simple as that. But I think something that's not being touched on this evening that's also important is a beneficial partnership with Northwestern or CDW. We're sitting in it right here. They often are the largest developer in town. They often bring the best development that the village has seen. We need to develop a beneficial relationship and partnership with them. And I think areas of town that shouldn't be excluded include Town Center. We need to look at a Riverwalk and keeping that go forward. Roosevelt Road, St. Charles Road. There's a lot that we can do. We're going to have to do it working together.
Thank you. And Mr. Reyes?
Yeah, the number 1 issue in our village is revenue. We're basically broken. I know people will challenge that comment. You've been challenging me on that comment for 6 years. But we are basically living off of bare minimum amounts of money. Our budget is at least $1 million short of what we need to have. We've had it sit now for almost going on 2 decades. It's almost run out. And we've wasted most of that money on things that are very unimportant and insignificant. We've got to stop spending our impact fees on things that we should have on the general fund. We need to get tax dollars in there through revenue from new business. Our vision should be very, very solid about how we're going to attract business. It should be very solid on the fact that our top priority should be getting our taxes reduced if possible and stop loading up the water and sewer rates to transfer money from that to the general fund. We need to find ways to pay for the things that we have. And that comes from more business in Winfield.
Thank you very much. Next question. Some say Winfield is divided. What will you do to unite North and South Winfield? First start would be Jay Olson. Mr. Olson.
Yes. I would work diligently to bring those groups together. I have actually not always thought that Winfield was divided north and south. I think it's divided east and west as well. We have competing agencies in town, park districts, school districts, that unfortunately are never going to go away, and they serve as barriers to bringing our community together. I think it's very important, again, to bring our ideas to the table, have a very thorough discussion, and when we choose to disagree, understand that there are issues that need to be moved forward for the benefit of all residents in Winfield. And I think that's very important and key in the discussion here, is that I make my decisions for the benefit of all residents of Winfield, and I've done that for 4 years as a trustee. I will do that going forward as well.
Thank you. Mr. Busati?
Dividing Winfield, I don't think Winfield is divided. Yeah, there is a north, yeah, there is a south, there's a railroad track going down the center yards to it. Yeah, we have different personalities and such in the south sides. Working together is something that is definitely things that, I'll say this, how to bring together the whole whole idea for the village. My passion and my thoughts for this village has always been for the entire village. That's why I don't see it being a divided area. I see the village as being one whole. If people see me on TV and listen to me talk and when I have my opinions, they know that my opinion is for what's the betterment of the village, not just what's in my own backyard. What's not good for the front or the north side, what's not good for the south side. I think we can all work together, and whatever situation comes to us, we can make it work if the sixth trustee will do so. And I think that the people we have running right now will be able to do that and bring both sides together.
Thank you. Mr. Hanlon?
I believe that Winfield faces multiple challenges: political size, geographic size, socioeconomic size. You know, we're a mixing pot. We've got a lot going on in town. And I think it goes back to the previous question, which is empathize with people. You listen to people. You put yourself in their shoes to understand what they're going through. Ask questions. Try to understand how they're feeling. It's an emotional town. That's how we start to build bridges. I think it's great we have diverse points of view. I think it's great we have debate. But until we respect each other, until we bring humility to the conversation, until we empathize, we're not going to solve problems. But we've got the potential to. We saw it during the comprehensive planning process. That was an exciting process. I give President Spandy a ton of credit for executing that process and the trustees who were in position then to approve it. But we saw in that process people working together across all those boundaries I mentioned. And what a great victory for Winfield. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
The residents aren't divided, in my opinion, in Winfield. The politics and politicians are. I think that's what causes a lot of the division in town. Winfield, we know our neighbors. We tend to like our neighbors. We may not agree with them politically, but some of what Winfield is dealing with is geographical, as talked about. It's disconnection. You take areas in Clank Creek, for an example. Residents up there tend to be very disconnected from the village. I think there's things we can do. We can open and market our committees' involvement in the community at the village level. Work a little harder to get a more broad representation on our committees from all areas of town. That's one way. But some of the barriers we aren't going to break through. Some of the geographical, some of the facts that our kids go to multiple school districts. We have multiple park districts and some of the things like that. But we do need to work on being a better community.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reyes?
What unites our village is our kids, our churches, our volunteers. We have a tremendous network of people who work together daily, and you don't often hear from these, what I call local heroes, but they're everywhere. They're not just from the south, or the north, or the east, or the west. They're from all parts of the village. What also unites us is our property tax rate, and we like it low. And people are voting for politicians that want to keep the property tax low. And what also unites us is our water and sewer rates. People want to see water and sewer rates that are more consistent with the rest of DuPage County. They're extremely high, and they're very aggravated by it. We are very connected. We are very together. There's very little separating us except a couple of political factions. And those are powerful factions, and we have to combat that and fight that daily with passion. And there's no stability in some of this, but I have to agree that those that say that we have a problem and we're slightly divided, it's political faction-wise. It's not about anything else other than that. And tonight we have here in our midst the mayor of West Chicago, but the mayor of Winfield is not here. I have to question myself, why is he not here listening to this debate?
Thank you. We're going to start with Mr. Basadi for the next question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No problem. I think one of the key things to uniting this village is to really not talk about if you're east of County Farm Road or if you're south of railroad tracks or north. I think that only heightens the divisiveness in this town and gives it the impression that we are divided. I think the key is to make sure that we have representation from all parts of the village and the ability to serve on committees so we can hear those voices from all parts of the community. That's very important. I think the other thing that's important, it's been settled tonight also, is that to get different opinions in that process is key to coming up with the real right solutions that we need to be able to solve the problems that we face here in this village. So again, to talk about which side of town you live on, as far as that's a better opportunity for you to represent the residents, I think is a false statement. What's key is to be able to listen, to be able to have that representation from all areas of town, and then to get that dialogue in the process and make the best decision possible.
Thank you. Now, ready? Ms. Rossetti. Okay, so there's a lot of questions, and it's already come up 2 or 3 times about Roosevelt Road and the development on Roosevelt Road. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions about that. So we're going to start with, how do you feel about development on Roosevelt Road, and how will you get agreement from other board members who might disagree to make it happen?
Development on Roosevelt Road, it is something that's coming. All the trustees are already in the mindset of being able to develop that. So being able to try and sway them over for development on Roosevelt Road, which would be a good thing, because it would bring a lot of more business into the village, it would bring more tax revenue that we need. The thought process is already there. The trustees are already talking about it. Gentlemen sitting at this table tonight have already been in the works and getting that working. It's going to be a continuing process. It's not going to be a quick fix. It's going to be something that's going to take years to get finished up, unfortunately, because it is such a massive project that needs to be done. We need it. It will move forward. It's just going to take time. People are going to have to be patient in regards to how quick it's going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. It's proven because there's been a lot of fighting in regards to the village board in regards to what that has been. So it's something that needs to be done. Patience needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be handled in a proper manner and not rush.
Thank you.
Was the first part of the question about what type
How
of
do you feel
development?
about development on Roosevelt Road, and how you get agreement from the
How
other
do I
board
feel
members
about it?
to make
Okay.
it happen?
Thank you. The comprehensive plan lays that out. It's clear. We've had that conversation as an entire community multiple times in multiple forums. We will be developing Roosevelt Road, and it's a clear plan. It's laid out in the comprehensive plan. How will we work together, I think, is another story. I believe that board members, and we've proven that recently, with listening to the residents on what we want to do on Roosevelt Road. The comprehensive plan defines that. People are worried about the government taking their homes. Free market defines how homes are purchased, how land is acquired. That's how it works. So, I believe that as long as we communicate and over-communicate and talk and engage, we'll have the same success in the implementation as we did in the planning process.
Thank you. Mr. Hanlon? Oh, no, Mr. Hughes.
We have a plan to do Roosevelt Road right now. The debate is not about if anymore. We're past that. We've had resident input on it. We know the residents, at least so far, that have come forward that supported along Roosevelt Road. So I think the debate is about when and at what pace. How the village is going to put the money together, having the trustees that have experience brought back on the board that have an understanding of how to pay for development and to work with developers is going to be viable. I think the other thing is development of Roosevelt Road specifically is not going to happen unless the residents that own the properties wanted to.
Thank you. Mr.
I sat on the current board for the last 4 years, and 2 years ago, we went ahead and we did some zoning of Roosevelt Road, and it's been reversed by the current administration. They said it was an illegal movement and so on and so forth, which is all nonsense. So there was 4 votes that moved it forward. But it's been reversed and slowed down yet again, and they hold the majority. Nothing will change in this village on Roosevelt Road until you elect trustees that are serious about developing Roosevelt Road. What that means is that you're going to need 4 votes on this board to make that happen. If you don't elect 3 people that are pro-development for Roosevelt Road this time around, who they want smart growth, they want logical growth, they want stability and all these things, that's wonderful. However, that's not going to get Roosevelt Road developed in anyone's lifetime. If you're serious about developing Roosevelt Road, and the people that live on those properties have already said they are, there's 18 owners that signed a petition 3 years ago saying they're serious about it. And our board 3 years ago was very serious about getting that done. But now we're back to square one. All we can do now is hope and pray that the trustees under they're serious about development.
Thank you. Mr. Sorgan?
I think the key ingredient here again is the board being able to work together effectively. My concern has always been in the development community, as I've talked to the developers, the consensus reply I get is Winfield. Are you kidding me? With that kind of a board atmosphere, it's just two treasures to get into. It goes back again to making sure that you've got board members who are capable and willing to work together in a manner that really looks at what the end goal is here, and that is getting that development done. And being able to do that constructively and bring in developers to the community, that they have the comfort level with understanding that they have a board that will work with them and will get the job done, and there won't be issues relative to discord that's kind of amplified process. And again, my experience on the Plan Commission, working on the Pine Creek development will go a long way also. My ability to help work this process through, and having worked on that biggest development in Winfield to date, my experience will certainly help that.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Yes, as a professional civil engineer, I've been involved with development for, again, over 30 years. I think it's important to recognize just a couple things. Number one, as has been said, the comp plan is the base now. We are moving forward with some type of retail development on Roosevelt Road. I have been concerned the process of implementation steps has been moving too slowly and could be increased and moved forward more quickly. I'm very concerned about the zoning that's being put in place now, the discussion of a TIF, which I don't think are necessary items to bring development along Roosevelt Road. Most importantly, though, I think that it's essential that our leadership embrace development, know how to attract developers, know how to negotiate development deals, and know how to manage the process. It's been clear to me in my 4 years of serving on the board that that hasn't happened very effectively until I have gotten involved in many cases to make that happen well in Winfield.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll start with Mr. Hamlin. I'm going to kind of continue with the Roosevelt Road because there were quite a few questions on that. Roosevelt Road and County Farm Development are great, but probably 2 to 10 years before Winfield sees any benefit. What is your more immediate path to help residents without raising property or sales taxes?
There's no doubt it's going to take time for development to take hold in Winfield before we start seeing revenue come in from development. We have Silverwood Blend Housing, and we have another proposed plan in place,
North on County Farm Road. And so I believe that the revenues from those properties, which will come in faster, we know that revenue from housing development comes in faster than revenue from commercial. That new revenue will help us bridge some of the gap. We have many challenges in front of us. We have rising water rates. We have potential Governor Rauner's cutting of our state income tax allotment, the motor fuel tax eroding from $250 down to $210,000. We have challenges in front of us. We need to take it seriously. We may need to do more cuts in our budget, which means cutting into surplus. And cutting into surplus is not a good thing. Nobody wants to do it. But that may be necessary in the short run if we're not going to raise taxes. If we're going to raise taxes, our residents need to make that decision, not the board.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
Yes, I think that's an extremely valid question. Our budget's very lean. We do have some development. MI Homes right now is before the board. They still have to come back in with the final plot on Timber Creek, and Silver Woodland on County Farm Road. That's new, but residential development doesn't always bring a lot of revenue to the town. I think our biggest opportunity is working with the largest partner in town. In less than 2 years, this building we were sitting in right now was built. The Ronald McDonald House, in less than 2 years, it was put up. We need to work with our biggest partners to find ways to get some immediate commercial development in town center by giving them just a little bit of what they're looking for. That's complicated, but it's something we can do, and it's building this relationship with our biggest partners is what we need to do.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes?
I guess in the meantime, what the current administration's plan would be to raise your taxes and raise your water bills and continue to bond out as much as they can to fix roads. That's been the solution that they've offered us for the past number of years, and we have just about taxed everybody into another coma. We were not supposed to raise your taxes or spend any money over nearing $1 million without your permission, and they ignored that. I voted against it. It was 87% of the people said, do not go out and spend $1 million or more without asking us, and they did. So that behavior will continue. This administration is committed to raising your tax rate. They say it at almost every meeting. Winfield has the lowest property tax. The village property tax portion is too low. They keep beating on that as if it's a given that you are sitting there waiting for the next tax increase. You are being asked to accept that as the solution for the moment. So that's what I think the solution is going to be. I will vote against any tax increase, and I voted for all water and sewer increases, against all water and sewer increases.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Can I stick my head out further or something? Being the village treasurer, reality certainly has set in. I've talked about the budget challenges 4 years ago, and can continue to talk about them today. Reality of the situation is the proposal that the government has on the table, which would cut our revenue by $445,000, which is 10% of our general fund. Possibility of, not possibility, reality of a police pension fund going up $200,000 in the next 2 years. Our general revenue fund has decreased in terms of what the property valuations have gone down over the past years. So, we're going to talk about this from a reality standpoint, a reality check to everybody here. That is that the only new revenue sources we have will come from sales tax. That is definitely, at best, 2 to 5 years away. So we're going to be left with making a decision at some point of either cutting some of the essential services in this community, or having to look at alternatives, and those could include going into reserves, or potentially looking at an interim fix to get us over the hump. But right now, reality is, folks, that we are definitely going to be balanced or challenged in terms of our budget situation going forward, and that's the reality.
And the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to argue with the treasurer sitting to my right-hand side here, but he is absolutely right. And then you throw in the annual road maintenance, which has been estimated by our engineer at about $700,000. And very quickly, we are $1.5 million in the hole. Not a balanced budget, no way to pay for it, no way to increase the revenues swiftly. I disagree. I think development could happen in this town within 2 years. That means you can bring in sales tax revenues. It really has to be embraced by the board. I have had that kind of discussion with almost every board member on the sitting board right now. They understand. I can help them educate them in the development process and feel comfortable going forward. We're following the comp plan and putting sales revenues in place. It can be done. We need to embrace it.
Please read the question again. Make sure I answer it.
Roosevelt Road and County Farm Development are great, probably, is that the one?
Yep.
Yes, but probably 2 to 10 years before Winfield sees any benefit. What is your more immediate path to help residents without raising property or sales taxes?
Well, obviously, the development on Roosevelt and County Farm Road are very important to this village being able to get things going. Even if construction starts right away in regards to that, it's going to be time before we would start seeing any kind of revenue return from it. Increasing taxes, every time we've had an increase referendum or anything that's ever come to us on the ballots, as a citizen, I have voted against it. I'm not looking to raise my taxes any more than anybody else. I can't afford to put the money out no more than anybody else wants to do in this village. We need to figure out ways to be able to get development in here. Maybe right downtown development would be the way to do it. We do have some retail space in this village that is available. We need to find out what village tax sources we do have available. And not a lot comes from the hospital. People in this town know it. People in this town get very upset in regards to that. They feel the hospital should have more of a partnership with the village. I know they don't know how much actually they have, but people in this town think that the hospital should stand up and hold more of its share.
Thank you. The next question will start with Mr. Hughes. We're going to continue a little bit more with budget and finance.
Sure.
All our communities are going to be impacted by the potential Illinois state revenue budgets. This person asked, they've heard the budget is short $1 million annually to keep up with road repairs and pension obligations. We've also heard that the state may cut $500,000 annually from the budget. Is this true? If you know it's true, that's fine. How will we survive? What else can be cut? Another person asked it a different way. Assuming the governor's proposed budget is passed, how will you address the 50% reduction in income taxes the village receives from the state? So it's about how do you survive with the cuts that you may already know about and that could be coming potentially.
Yes, that is actually something that come up at our budget workshop last night. It's briefly a little bit of discussion on that. I think that it's a fair expectation that at one point this summer we'll hear whether the 50% cut in our state income tax revenue that'll happen or not. And that number, our treasurer nailed that at around $445,000. Our revenues in the village will decrease. And this is probably a topic that's bigger than 1 minute, but I want to make something clear. Budget cuts, it means losing staff. Obviously, one of our biggest staff areas is our police protection. So this is a big need where we need to be building our relationship with our largest partner in town, be exploring Northwestern medicine of what they are doing for our village, what they aren't doing. So all of us as residents can be better educated on that and to look at immediate development.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Mr. Reyes?
So the question is it true?
Well, one of the questions was, do you know if it's true that the governor's, that $1 million annually to keep up with road repairs and pension obligations, but that the state may cut $500,000 of revenue to the Winfield?
Okay, so the question is it true? And yes, it is true that they're proposing some cuts to the state level, and it's far worse than you can imagine. We've been living the way we do in Winfield now for about 10 years, being controlled by a small faction, and it's really killed our opportunities to bring in more business. We have to change the way that we do business here in Winfield to get out of this mess. It's an opportunity that we can't afford to pass up anymore. That Roosevelt Road is the place for us to start looking right away, and it could be in less than 2 years. It's also worse in the fact that there's going to be development on road construction on Roosevelt Road to eliminate the red light cam. Now nobody likes the red light cam, but it brings about $250,000 to Winfield. When they go to repair Roosevelt Road, they're going to eliminate that. So it'll be another $250,000. We have a bigger problem than anybody here is willing to admit or can even estimate how big it truly is. We waited too long. We're up against the wall. We have to elect people that are willing to make the tough decisions and work together to get this problem solved quickly.
Thank you. Mr. Surratt?
Yes, the numbers, basically, the police pension fund right now is at $650. The additional amount that we would need over the next 2 years, I've explained, is about $200,000. Road repairs are $650,000 a year. So basically, where we are right now is we've been always subject to whatever the state does in terms of revenue sharing, but also with the unfunded mandate requirements that we have to deal with. And those haven't stopped. And now with the Robert's proposal, we certainly are threatened. Well, the end result is going to be, we don't know for sure, but it certainly speaks to the fact that we have to have other revenue. We have to have it as quickly as possible. I'm a realist. I like to look at things from the standpoint of, it'd be great to get developed in 2 years. And I'd like to see that happen, but I'm also a realist. I don't like to promise things I can't deliver on. And one thing I'd like to say for sure is we will have to work very hard over the next couple of years to ensure that we can balance our budget and live within our means. We've done that very well over the past several years. We've really reduced our staffing levels, and we've worked very hard to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Yes, those numbers are absolutely true. They've been reiterated by every candidate up here on the board. So that's a big number. We really do need to push forward on Roosevelt Road. There's just no way that can go slow. You have heard, and again, as a professional, I think that it's achievable that you can start having revenues coming out of Roosevelt Road in a very quick time frame. I also think it's very important to understand that the issues that the budget that the village is dealing with does not only affect residents with the village budget. Other taxing bodies are all also looking at shortages. Our fire protection district, our schools dearly could use the revenue. Again, pushing forward economic development and redevelopment of Roosevelt Road could be absolutely a benefit for all our village residents and our taxing bodies many times over. It really has to be done. In the interim, we're going to have to make some tough choices, bottom line.
Thank you. Mr. Versati?
With what Governor Roberts is doing down there right now, is I think he's starting out kind of quiet. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of cuts, there's going to be a lot of changes. He's already made that comment. He tried to do it before he was sworn into office. So the money's going to be coming from downstate. We cannot rely on that. We have to hold on to our own. That's my opinion. The village, ways doing it, we might have to increase our sales tax. That's one small revenue source we may able to pull from. 2 years to have revenue coming in, like I said before, it's going to be very hard to do. Even if we do get new development, get new businesses coming into the village, it takes time. They're going to look for reasons to be coming in. I know the TIF is an issue right there. And I know they try to use that to help bring new business to our village. Thing is, we need somebody that's large enough to bring in enough revenue to our village to help make the taxes come around. The village, the citizens of this village are not going to do any kind of referendum. They will not go along with that. They will vote it down again if it comes to
Thank
it.
you. Mr. Hanlon?
I'm the Chief Information Officer for a $3.5 billion publicly traded corporation. I manage a $50 million budget every year. We have many different projects that are very expensive. We're spending a lot of money on. The way we get results is to track activity and report on results every week. If you don't measure it, you don't say what you're going to do, and you hold the board accountable for doing it, it ain't going to get done. So you need to have a sense of urgency about this. We need to have accountability for driving the plan forward. We need to have weekly, or at least at every meeting, a conversation about what are we going to do, what have we accomplished, what are we going to do next. And it's unfair to hold one person accountable. We need to hold the board accountable and have the staff help us deliver those messages every week. We need to track it, we need to report on it, and hold people accountable for it. That's how you get progress. We have to get this development done.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes? Did you answer? There was one other question that I was going to ask as a follow-up to that one, and it was, would you borrow money to pay, to fix the road, to do the road repair in Winfield? So, Mr. Sorgas, if you still tell us, yes.
Absolutely not. Borrowing money is taboo in this town. That's why this village will never stand for a tax increase if it goes to referendum. We've never voted for a tax increase in this village, and we never will. However, this village administration has found ways to get money out of our residents through water and sewer rates and through bonding, which is all perfectly legal. However, it's being used in the general fund in different ways. We don't need that kind of behavior from our administration. The residents do not want to pay a higher village tax. They don't want higher water rates. There's going to be a revolt in this village someday. They've had enough of it. They're being controlled, and it's just not working for the village very well. So my answer is no. We don't need to borrow money for this. We need to budget properly, and we need to develop Winfield properly that will generate the revenues necessary for a better village. We can do it, and it's hard work. But that's what I want to be elected for, is to do the hard work that it takes for us to be successful without raising property taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Sorgas?
The situation we're talking about with the roads and borrowing the bond fund, the end result was that it allowed us to get a $1.1 million grant from the state, which allowed us to do Winfield Road, Jewel Road, Pleasant Hill Road. Combined with the bond, we were able to do almost $5.7 million in road repair work. We did 38% of the roads, which is 13.1 miles. The average cost of construction per mile was $435,000. The roads that were attended to first were the red roads, the ones that were in the worst condition, well past 20 years in terms of repair. And those roads, had they not been attended to, the question is where would we have gotten money from to begin with to get those roads fixed? It would have taken us an extra 10 years. It would have cost us as much as 4 times what we paid during this one cycle. So this is money well spent to get something that absolutely needed to be done in the village. And at the same time, it bought us some time so we can get development in place. And you have to make the right decisions at the right time to ensure that you're going to be able to take care of the serious problems in this village and be able to have development come in and provide you the tax revenue you need down the road.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
I would not borrow money to fix the roads. I think at this point in time, we need to get development moving forward so that we can fix the roads. I have had enough conversation with enough developers on Roosevelt Road, and there is substantial money that can be earned out there. The revenues are somewhere between $1 and $2 million, and that's just the part of Roosevelt Road that exists within the community. If we annex down Roosevelt Road, it can be even greater. And with a far-reaching plan, the comp plan's already in place for Winfield, I think we can actually achieve a higher level of results. That can be done very quickly. It should have been started years ago. It's very difficult to move those things forward. So at this point in time, I would not borrow money to fix the roads. We will be paying over 20 years the bonds that were borrowed, and that's a lot of money. That's about $6.5 million.
Thank you. Mr. Rosati?
Once again, I go along with the other candidates. I don't believe we need to borrow money to be able to go after the road repairs that we need to take care of. Unfortunately, we have roads that need to be taken care of, or some of our roads are getting to be pretty questionable in regards to what's going on there. There has to be other ways of taking care of that. They talk about getting the police department, cutting back on the different staff members. We're running on a very, very slim group of people right now that are doing more than just the job they were hired for. Some of them have 2, 3, 4 hats that they have to wear in regards to taking care of the situation. We're running very slim as it is. There's got to be other ways out there to get the money. Borrowing, I don't feel is the way to do it. If we have to let our roads, if we have to use more coal patch and seal, well, then maybe we might have to do that. The roads won't be as pretty as we'd like to see them. But you know what? You got to live within your means, and you got to be able to do what you can do. We do it every day in our own household. I'm not sure where the money would come from. I'm not sure how to get it. Those are things that if I am elected, I would be able to have to look into.
Thank you. Mr. Hanlon?
It's easy to sit up here and say, I will or won't do something, will or will not do something. But it's very difficult to put it in practice and face the residents. We asked the residents for money. The residents said no. We then found an alternative way to accomplish the road.
Repair through issuing bonds and debt. I believe we serve at the pleasure of our residents. If our residents say no, no is no. And we can't say that we know better. But we also can't, our residents cannot expect to have services and roads if we're not willing to pay for it. So it's not, you get it for free. It's if you don't want to pay for it, you're not going to get it. But it's very difficult as a village leader to say that. It's also very difficult to face that criticism. So I empathize, I understand that. But I still believe we serve at the pleasure of the residents. If they say no, no is no.
Mr. Hughes?
No. It's as simple as that. You know, we've already bonded out and really gone about as far as we could without going out to the residents. And the residents have, on several occasions, said no. Now, that being said, I think it was a great idea, as our treasurer pointed out. We needed to address those red roads. The cost was going to skyrocket. And I think we need to be open and transparent about the status of our roads so we're not into that situation again. But a point I'll point out is Trustee Reyes and I, in our first 2 years on the board, we did road repairs, we did the maintenance program without raising your taxes. There's always a way.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Mr. Sorgatz. And I'm going to change this just to line things up a little bit that I think could be interesting. How do you intend to engaging the youth of Winfield, primarily young adults and young families, into becoming active in local government or in the community?
I think there's obviously a number of ways that you can do that. Certainly, partnerships with organizations like the Park District, and that's one of the things that I think community-wide that we need. We talk about having a variety of park districts, a variety of school districts here. So I think one of the important things is to reach out to these other districts and talk about the opportunities that are here in our village from a learning perspective, whether it's in politics or whether it's engaged in activities at the park district level and how those can contribute to the community overall. Besides the youth issue there, I also see benefits in having a more open forum so that, your fire district, your park district, organizations like Cantini, the village itself can get together and talk about plans for the future of the village. I think that's a key and critical part as we talk about town center development. There's a real good area right there. We talk about bringing the trail system through, which is going to be happening next year. All of these things together really can have a positive impact on the village by doing that in a more open and collaborative manner.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
I think candidate Sorget's had some great ideas. I really think it comes down to reaching out. You have to reach out. I know we've had the government class in the board meeting several times. It's great to see young adults getting involved. I'm very encouraged when I have been knocking doors during the campaign, to be honest, at the number of young families in town. Some of the newer homes in Silverwood Glen, everyone has young children, babies, young parents that are moving to Winfield because it's attractive and has good schools and attributes and amenities. I like the idea of getting together as a group. I think all our agencies would benefit from, trying to coordinate in a large effort. So I think that would be important. But most importantly, I think we need to reach out. We need to actually establish the groups that allow us to reach out. I think a village-wide survey would be an excellent idea to capture the ideas from all the families and all residents in Winfield.
Mr. Corsani?
I think the way to get involved more with the younger families, the younger people in this town, is through technology. Texting, apps, things of that type. Get into their pocket, get into their computer. They don't want to come out. They don't want to come to the board meetings. They don't want to come out and be seen. They enjoy sitting behind a computer, working on their texts, working on the technology they have out there. We need to figure out a way to get the technology, or get the village voice to the people through technology. We need to be able to do that. I've got an 8-year-old granddaughter that I sit there and I watch her play on an iPad and what she gets involved in, and we play with her and go to different things, and if you can show her something that kind of interests her in regards to things like that, that's where it's going. Families, I say technology is where it's at. I mean, we have viewers and we have Comcast going to the homes. People are sitting at home watching it. I do it myself at times if I can't make it to the board meetings. So I think the way we need to do it is get in their pockets.
Thank you. Mr. Hanley?
I think the village recognizes the value of engaging the youth. I think President Spandy's done a good job talking to kids, having them in. He talked to my son in his government class. Try this again. He talked to my son in his government class, in which I was really encouraged by. Trustee Reyes spent time at Pleasant Hill School more than once, and has spent time at schools in Winfield more than once talking to kids, engaging the kids. I think that's awesome. I know Jay and I, when we're out canvassing and knocking on doors, our kids, our sons and their friends are out helping us with door hangers. We're starting the process. It starts by caring. It starts by taking the first step and taking ownership for that. Go engage a student. Go talk to a student. Encourage them to come out. It's got to start with that because they're not going to come on their own. We have to bring down the barriers and make it less intimidating so they can come to us. We've got several school board members engaged in our village. Let's talk to those school board members and ask them, get some ideas from them. I think there's a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity, and I think this is a great idea across the board that we should attack as a village.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
It's all about building community together. Things from community events for our youth to where we start by building relationships with our school districts and our schools. We've done some of that. I'll give President Spandy some kudos there. We're starting to reach out with our fellow taxing bodies, but there needs to be a lot more of that. It's up to the village to help build and start building community, just like it's the village that controls the development and tax revenue for our fellow taxing bodies. The other thing is we can get our youth involved in some of our projects that are going on like Riverwalk. Working with groups like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and things like that in town to find things that they can do on our community projects, bikeways, Riverwalk, river cleanups, all the different things like that. There's lots we can do, but we need to do it and not sit here talking about it. It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Winfield's youth, from what I've seen, is very anxious to get involved in just about everything, and we have been blessed in our community with churches and schools that are all over the place engaging kids. I give money and I give time to all these kids, and whatever they do. I just mailed out 5 packets to the community area here for scholarships. The Knights of Columbus, for the 3rd year, has now given away $10,000 to kids going off to college. I get engaged with D34 kids. I've been doing that since before my kids were even in D34. I was president of D94 before my kids ever went to high school. I do these things on purpose. I love kids. If you've got something that you want kids to do, if you want them to be involved, you want them to be volunteers, I speak to them at their schools, I speak to them at their level. I go where they are, I coach them, and I talk to them, and I respect everything that they do. These are the future of our community, and we should take good care of them and make sure that they have the things that they need. What they need most is a good village, and that's why I do what I do, because I absolutely love Winfield and our kids.
Thank you very much. This will be the last question before we go to the closing, and I think it was asked by a couple different people, so I'll include it. Do you support having a Winfield Police Department, and is it adequately staffed? We'll start with Mr. Olson.
Yes, I absolutely support the Winfield Police Department. I know that a couple of years ago I was involved in meetings with the county, and we were trying to get information to talk about how a different policing option in Winfield might work. Very clearly the residents spoke, and I will listen to that referendum. It passed overwhelmingly, somewhere around 85% to 15%. I do think that we are bare bones minimum adequately staffed at this point in time. There is virtually no wiggle room in the police department. After hearing the discussions about the budget, it's very clear that everything will be on the table. There may be efficiencies in the police department that could be handled during the budget process. But again, I am not going to be cutting officers out of the Winfield Police Department.
Thank you. Mr. Versati.
Get rid of the police department? Come on. We can't do that. We need these people. If you look at the staff that we have there now, they're running on a very slim group of people that are doing it. They're working overtime, they're doing what they have to do. Look at the Winfield, on how we're rated with our crime. We don't have it. These guys do a fantastic job with what they have. Do we have another way of getting rid of them? They thought about counting. I don't think that would be a good idea. I'm fortunate to be able to say that the police officers and the chief of police are acquaintances and friends. These guys are personable. They become my friends, but they became my friend because they came out, they talked to us. It's interaction that we've had with these people. These guys are there for the people of this town. They give their heart, they give everything they can do to do what they have to do. They don't run with the equipment that a lot of these other police departments run with. We were fortunate to be able to get some new squads for these guys. Unfortunately, some of our other squads got totaled because they were hit.
Thank you.
But we need them.
Mr. Hamlin.
Consistent with everybody else, of course we need our police. I do want to talk about the process, though, that occurred a few years ago. I think we need to be patient as a village and open as a government to talk about creative ideas. That idea, clearly the residents said, we don't want that, it's not a good idea. But I think we need to be patient and have those debates. Those debates are healthy, they're good. Even the bad ideas, as long as we're debating them openly, let's talk about them and come to some agreement and alignment on that. Are we staffed at the appropriate level? I think not only do we have to listen to residents, we need to listen to our chief and our staff and our village manager. They're closer to it than we are. How am I supposed to make a determination we need one less sergeant for a particular shift? I don't know the first thing about policing this environment. I'm not trained that way. We need to listen to the professionals that are and understand the risks they put them at. That's how we understand those issues.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hughes.
Yes, we need to keep the police. Originally, I supported an option, double option 3. Well, it didn't make everybody happy, including some staff. There's no doubt about that, and at least in how it come forward. But it maintained our police department. I fought for that back then, and I still will today. We do have some things that are happening though. Our police chief is retiring. We have an officer or two retiring. There is good cause and measure to have studied our police department. And I always felt it was a shame that it ended up becoming a political debacle in towns. We hired a very reputable firm that it would have been great to have seen a little more finality at such a trying time when we're still battling our budget and looking at replacing our top brass.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Absolutely, our police is one of the best. Unfortunately, it's dwindling in size. Over 10 years ago, roughly 10 years ago, we had 24 sworn, so they were down to somewhere in the area of 15 or so. It's smaller because one of those things that we cut every year in budget is people. That's how we make things work in Winfield, is by cutting, and it's because the residents will not allow us to raise taxes, which is not a bad thing. We need to find ways to be able to do these things without raising taxes. All that being said, a couple of years ago, as Trustee Hughes says, we were engaged in conversation in closed session, perfectly legal. The local newspaper made a big scandal out of it. Your current president was the leader. He's the one that leaked that information that he shouldn't have. It was inappropriate the way it was managed. We had to deal with that mess and that chaos that was created by a faction that was very, very much engaged in trying to keep us from developing Roosevelt Road. So it all ties back to Roosevelt Road. They didn't want development, and they had to find a way to keep people that want development done out of office. You people have got to stop believing this and move forward and elect people that want to develop Roosevelt Road for your betterment.
Thank you. Zach? Who is you? Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Yes, having community police department is integral in relationships that you can develop as a community overall. It's key to have a local police department who understands the community and really knows how to work at the community level and develop relationships that are key for having a local crime community, which we have here in Winfield. But I will say that, we are stressed at this point budget-wise, and it's had its effect on the police department. Where we should be basically is an average of at least 2 sworn officers per each 1,000 residents. So if we extrapolate that right now, we should be at about 18 to 19 sworn officers. We're at 16 right now, including the chief. So, and that's all budget related, folks. So it's key again to go back to the issue, which is we need to get other sources of revenue. Sales tax is the key here. And, especially as we develop these areas, we're going to need more sworn officers. And I strongly believe that we can get there with the development of Roosevelt Road. And also at the same time, have the community police department is absolutely essential to have our community have its character as it does here in Winfield.
Thank you very much. That concludes the question and answer portion.
First priority, this village is my backyard. Everybody in this town, I voiced my opinion for you, but for whatever it's worth. If you're looking for a politician to be elected in this upcoming election, don't vote for me. I don't want your vote. If you want somebody that wants to take care of this town, is concerned about this town, and going to do the best that he can and listen to what the people have to say, because that is what I have done. I have proven it if you watch the board meetings. I'm here for you. I want to be for you. Like I said, number 8, Bob Wilson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hanley?
Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you to our hosts. I really appreciate the village staff and manager for coming. Mayor Pineda, thank you. It's been a great night. I am optimistic about Winfield. Yeah, we have some challenges in front of us, but I am really optimistic about this village. We have so much potential, and we'll make it. We can make this happen. We need to have people on the board, business people who are experienced with developers, people who are experienced with accountability, people who are experienced in selling the positive aspects of Winfield to attract and work developers. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate your time. My name is Rob Hanlon. I stand for more business and less tax in Winfield, because more business means more infrastructure, lower water bills, at the end of the day, less tax for our residents. Thank you. Hope I've earned your vote tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
Thank you everyone for coming out. It truly is my pleasure. I love our village and I enjoy serving you. If that's something that I would enjoy to do for 4 more years, if you'll have me. I think these next 4 years call for experienced trustees that are going to fund and protect our police department. Know how to find a way to say yes to development, do it the right way. And I think there's a lot of work to do budget-wise, as you're hearing too, of trustees that are willing to be open and transparent and to do it right. I'm Jim Hughes, and I'm asking for your vote on April 7th for village trustee.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
My name is Tony Reyes, and I want to thank you for your support over the past 4 years. I want to ask for your support for 4 more years. I want to thank the Western DuPage Chamber of Commerce for hosting this with living voters, and thank you for being our moderator. You've been a terrific host for many years, and we really appreciate that. I would never boycott one of these as a candidate for any office. I think it's important work that you do, and it's a shame that it was boycotted by candidates supported by that small faction in town. It was also boycotted by the village president. It was also boycotted by the city trustees. You want civility, you want partnerships, you want to work together, yet you can't take an hour and a half of your time to come to this debate. We are about more business, less tax. We are about lower water rates. We are about honesty and open government. We are very, very busy trying to communicate with you how important that is to us and how important it will play in your future. Who you elect this time is very important. And I'm Tony Reyes, and I hope you can vote for me and folks that think like I do on these topics. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sargis?
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and especially the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. Very much appreciated. Also, just again, talk about my qualifications as current treasurer, police pension board member, former plan commission member, steering committee member. I also coached baseball, soccer, basketball for 10 years with WIA. And my business experience is over 30 years. I haven't talked about that very much, but I've certainly worked on development of several properties for our credit union over the years. And I've also been involved in commercial lending and worked with developers extensively through the lending process side. So I have a good insight on all the financial aspects of the process involved with development and with good commercial lending processes. So I have that experience too that I bring to the table from the standpoint of development. And I'm able to reach out on a professional basis and look to and talk to developers and bring them into Winfield. So thank you for being here tonight. And I really want to reiterate that I want to put Winfield first. We have a lot of opportunity here. I love living in Winfield, and I really would appreciate your vote and support on April 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Yes, thank you all residents for attending this evening. I will actually go into my opening statement at this point in time. You know, I did serve as a previous trustee for 4 years, and I have said to many people that I actually enjoyed it. I enjoy the debate, I enjoy the deliberation, I enjoy the consensus building that I demonstrated on the board for many, many years. I still participate in the village on the Public Works Committee. I am very engaged in our community. My wife is a teacher in Winfield. She's been a teacher for 25 years. I think it's important to represent all the residents in the community, make sure decisions are based on serving all the residents. Most importantly, I think we all recognize the most important thing going forward is we need to raise revenues in the community. We will have significant budget issues that we have to address. It's going to be tough a couple of years. I'm the development professional, professional civil engineer that can help educate everybody and move quality development to the comp plan along those railroads. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say, on behalf of the League of Women Voters particularly, we've been coming here for, this is probably the 3rd cycle, and this is the most people we've had at the event yet, and we hope to continue to do that. I almost didn't do it this year, I have to tell you that. But I'm happy that we came, and it was delightful to have all of the candidates, nearly all of the candidates represented here today, so thank you again. Please join me in thanking all the volunteers that were here tonight from the League and from the Chamber. I want to particularly thank Barb Lymans, who worked with David to help us put this all together. We want to thank the hospital for allowing us to use the space yet again, and the gentleman whose name I didn't get, who's doing the recording here this evening, so thank you very much for that. The League of Women Voters serves, we live in Wheaton, but we serve the communities of Carroll Stream, Warrenville, Winfield, West Chicago. If you liked anything you saw here tonight, you'd consider joining the League. We would love to have more members from the Winfield area, and please consider doing that. I want to thank you all again, and have a good evening. Yes, sir.
One closing comment. We'd like the debate to continue. You're all welcome to join us at Cooper's Corners after the debate this evening, so please come down.
I didn't know if Dave wanted to say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that was good. I'm glad that you were able to say say that. I'd like to thank you all. Again, as the CEO of the Western DuPage Chamber of Commerce, we're involved in businesses, and like all goal setters, we're always looking at what we haven't accomplished or the challenges that we haven't. And so it's great to be able to listen to these candidates who have looked back and seen some successes as well. But for the village of Winfield, this is as good as it gets anywhere on earth. This process of being able to walk down the street and knock on the door of your representative and say, this is how I feel, this is what I expect of you, and I'm going to stay around long enough to find out whether you listened or not. And if you didn't listen, I may not be putting your name on my ballot again. I mean, this is as good as it gets. So as frustrating as it sometimes becomes, and you know, the challenges and the spirit and the compassion to the arguments, know that this is as good as it gets when people die all over the world to get what you just experienced here tonight. Thank you again for participating.
Thank you, everybody.